This is what we doing while we do it, baby. We rollin'!
Covering MMA from all over the world, this is the premier stop for all your combat sports needs. MMA Junkie Radio, the only show broadcasting live from the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. The lights are on and the mics are hot. It's time to get your MMA fix, junkies. Take it away, Big John.
Gorgeous George and Goes, are you ready? Junkie Nation, are you ready? Well, let's get it on.
From the fight capital of the world, inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Racing Sportsbook, the poppin' Racing Sportsbook right now, because it's packed to the gills with a lot of March Madness fans. And tomorrow night, they're going to turn into MMA fans, because they're all going to be watching a card here with us. I got Dan Tom, the fight analyst. He's back. It's Friday. He's here with me. And of course, as always, just like I do Monday through Friday, I've got Gorgeous George with me. How are you, George?
Doing all right.
I thought I'd take over the intro for today.
Very nice of you guys.
Was it okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
All a part of the madness.
Got to keep it sharp. March Madness, that's right. All right, do we have our guest ready to go?
We are working on it right now.
Okay. He had texted me and told me he is down. North Carolina, by the way, is up 29-28 over Auburn. First half there, and then we got what is that? Mississippi State over LSU, 40-28. Quick update there. We'll provide those throughout the show because literally all 4 shows are taking place as we're doing the show. And March Madness is huge, and I know some of you don't care, but a lot of you do.
Well, it's huge out here, especially in Vegas. But I feel like it's grown throughout the country a little bit.
Wait, what are we talking about?
Old Dan Tom brought up his bracket.
Yeah.
That's how you know you're in a parallel universe.
I don't think too good. The only team I think I remember picking winning was Duke.
Oh, okay.
And then on the other end, I think I went with some underdog named Nevada, whatever state that is.
Yeah, I got coaxed into that one. I saw Nevada play UNLV here in Vegas,
and
Nevada looked good, and I thought, you know what, I got to have a Cinderella out there somewhere. It was like a mid-tier type of pick, and they went out quick. It's going to cost me.
Hey, their icon looks closest to a dog. I mean, can you blame us?
What are they, the Wolfpack, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's UNLV's rival.
Oh, okay, all right. Ooh.
Don't ever trust Mountain West teams. Even when they're really good, like they're good enough to contend.
San Diego State punked us a few years ago, right, with Kawhi Leonard?
Yeah, they were okay.
They're like number 2.
Yeah.
And they'll
never get past the Sweet 16 unless it's UNLV.
Smash cut to Goza's future child asking for dating advice. It's like trying to. It's like relying on a Mountain West team kid.
Yeah. We got a new coach though.
What's his name?
TJ Ossenberger, I believe is how you pronounce it. Pretty cool.
Sounds like Miss Ossenbacher. You remember that one?
No.
Miss Ossenbacher!
Is that from a film that you would have to purchase?
It's an old film, but it's an old popular film.
Oh, okay.
And it was along the lines of superheroes, and I'll tell you after this interview, because right now we're starting off with Tyron Woodley, one of the most popular names in our sport, former welterweight champion in the UFC, and may already have a fight booked against another former champion. We'll definitely detail that with him right now as we talk to him. And let me say, an outstanding broadcaster as well, because like we said here on Monday, he did an awesome job, right, guys?
Yeah.
With Megan O'Leary as they recap Nashville. He's got a lot going on. Here he is. What's up, T. Wood? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. One, I have to apologize to you guys. I've been traveling like a madman, as you guys probably seen from social media, and I've been fighting bronchitis, so I passed out. I am not going to make a zero excuse. I passed out, and I apologize, but I'm glad I got a chance to come on today.
No worries, man. Well, we appreciate your time anytime you're on the show. Like I said, you're always a wealth of knowledge, and there's always a lot to talk to you about. So let's get right into it. Actually, before we get into fighting, I want to reiterate to you personally what we were saying here on the show. As we were recapping the Nashville show, man, T. Wood, I've always thought you're pretty sharp behind the mic, but you took it to another level. I mean, you were really, really smooth. You were very concise with your thoughts, and you did such a great job with a lot of the younger fighters that are up and coming, and they're looking for that pat on the back from a veteran, from a star, from a champ, someone that's worn gold, you know what I mean? You handled that well, and, of course, your interaction with the veterans, it was really, really top-notch work you did there, man. So I don't know if you're putting in even more work, or if you were just felt like in a groove, or what happened.
Definitely, I appreciate that for sure because a lot of people don't recognize how much work and how much preparation and just, having to be comfortable being on the desk. And Megan O'Leary made it pretty easy for me. She's a professional. She does a lot of research. She is the insider for the UFC. So it was good to work with her. And it was just some topics I was really passionate about, some teammates like Anthony Pettis I trained with, Wonder Boy, which, I just don't believe any other fighter on the roster has more knowledge about Wonder Boy than me and his dad. So it was just a good time. And, we switched over, to ESPN, and I want to make sure they know that not only in fighting am I trying to be the best, I'm also trying to be the best analyst behind the desk. So, I try to make sure I came with it last week, and the same thing this week. I'm out here in Philadelphia right now covering this card, Justin Gaethje versus Edson Barboza. And I just want to let the fans feel like they're at home, feel like they're talking to one of their buddies, but also they may not know who these individuals are, and it's my job to let them know.
I mean, so much stuff happened there behind the desk. For one, your name came up. You took that, fine. When Dana brought up your name, you didn't say anything.
I'm like, Dana, why you got to keep bringing up my name?
And then you kind of kept it real. Hey, I'm going to have to work my way back. There was no bitterness in your voice. I like the way you separated social media T. Wood or maybe even T. Wood on this show or any other show with the job that you were there to do, which was to promote UFC Nashville and those fighters. I thought that was excellent. And then there were times, and you probably didn't catch this, man, because you're not really this type of dude, you know what I mean? But there was some of them younger fighters that were looking at you in awe. For one, you're a former world champion with 4 title defenses. You've done a lot in the sport, and I think just the fact that you were asking them questions about their young career, it was really, really cool to watch from my, through my lenses, to see them interact with you and you give them that love. There's that pro wrestling term, putting someone over. So by you complimenting them and asking them thorough questions and thoughtful questions and them answering you and all that, that you were doing the process of putting those young fighters over, and I thought that was very special.
I mean, you have to put them over because our fans, we don't know what they're going to catch on to. We don't know what fight style or what type of personality they're going to like. So when someone's out there trying and working their butt off, especially somebody like Thug Nash, a kid from Arkansas,
right,
and his nickname is so not suited to the person he is, and he goes out there and fight with hard. Even if the technique is, not to the world-class level yet, his heart and just ability, just the will is way to fight. You want to give him credit because there may be the only time, the next few weeks that he gets that because, as 2, 3, 4, 5 cars on every month or two, you can kind of get crushed out to the bottom of the stack. So when you give a young fighter that's really putting his all into it, you want to try to showcase them. And, the Usman thing is tough to talk about, but I got to face that. Got to be able to conversate about it. I don't like being a former welterweight champion, but that's real life. And I think the sooner you start to unpack those things and deal with those things, the sooner you get back to getting to your belt. And the conversation of the desk was a lot of us. Where you think about Jorge Masvidal's knockout of Till, you start thinking about Wonder Boy, you start thinking about all these potential upcoming matches, Kevin Lee and RDA. You think about Usman and Kobe potentially could be within moments of being wrapped up. And now you got fights getting locked up. So I just gotta keep my eyes on the ball and just recognize that I am the best in the world. And all these fighters, I'm really tenderizing a lot of these fighters. Softening it up Wonder Boy, Damian Maia, writing the blueprint on how to beat these guys. I'm just charging you both ways.
Tyron, and then since you named off a bunch of matchups, can you confirm you versus Lawler? We thought it was 100%. Is it 99%, and maybe just a signature or two is needed, or is there any snag?
Man. That's funny you asking me that. The match. Let me watch what I say because I don't want to be in the doghouse. It's a fight that I'm interested in. I think it's more. Appetizer for Robbie. I'm the one that took his belt. I'm the one that knocked him out. He didn't get a chance to show you he did. In training camp and go out there and try to display that. So of course he wants to try to get that back. Anytime you lose, you don't think I want to go back and avenge all my losses? That's what made George St. Pierre great. His 2 losses, he was able, with a lot of the opportunities to get those back. So I just think that I'm looking at the performance. I'm looking at not, okay, I already used them. Oh, okay, it's going to be easy to do again. I'm thinking like, what? I'm trying to have crazy performance. I need to remind people of what I'm capable of. Everyone can just vouch that that was very uncharacteristic of me at my best, and I just want to go out there and race that level. I'm supposed to get my belt back.
Tyron Woodley's our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. Let me send it over to the guys. Here it goes. What do you have for T. Wood?
Tyron, in that fight with Robbie Lawler, the way we were trying to break it down a little bit in our heads, and the one thing that kind of stood out was, like, what's in it for Tyron? Because you had such a masterful performance the first time around. If that fight were to be signed on the dotted line, is it all about just going out there and making quick work of him, putting on your best performance, trying to maybe show new wrinkles? Like, how would you even approach that fight? Because it seems like it would be difficult psychologically.
No, if that fight's worked out, that fight ends up happening, and you know, I'm trying to take everybody out, man. Nobody want to see me go out there and have no decision fights. You know, they want to see me finish somebody, knock somebody out, hurt somebody, spit somebody, you know, and make somebody quit. And it's a situation where, you know, Robbie's backing it a little bit more against the wall than mine is. We both have tasted UFC Go. We both have been, you know, participating in and hitting viewpoints. We both have been in, you know, some of the greatest fights in life as a challenger than it is as a champion. Not just about money, but just about opportunity, exposure. Your platform is larger, and just, you know, you're the best in the world. Your motivation is different. So I'm just going to go back to what got me there. Just to be a good, you know, rewind and play kind of story, because I got this belt from him, and I was hungry to fight and beat him because of what he brought to the table and his legacy and history, and, you know, his reputation. So now I get to reinvigorate that flame, and I'm treating this like a world title fight. He's a champion, I'm a champion. This is a world title fight. It's 5 rounds, and I'm gonna go out there, and this is the beginning of me winning another world title.
At the beginning of the interview, you mentioned, you know, being introduced as the former welterweight champion. You don't like to hear that, and I understand that. George and I were a little bit old school. We grew up in kind of a boxing household, and back then, if you ever won a belt, they just kind of called you champ for the rest of your life. And I had thought about that talking to you. Do I say champ? Is it different, like in mixed martial arts? If somebody were to say that, would it kind of burn you a little bit, or do you subscribe kind of like to that old school mentality where it's all right to call a former champion champ?
Yeah, you know, anybody who's ever been a champ, I make it my business. Hey, what's up, champ? Because sometimes, you know, being on that horse and then falling down, like, if you're on a huge horse, like, you know, some of these other, like Chuck Liddell or somebody, you fall very far, and it's very public, and it's very out in the open, and it's hard to get the courage to build back up, even if it's not chasing another title. He was probably out of his prime where he couldn't chase another title. Fortunately for me, I'm still getting better, but getting back on that horse is not as easy. So I try my best at any point in time. I see your former champ. Hey, what's up, champ? Because once you're a champ, you're always a champ. You know, and being a champion is who you are. Winning championships is what you do. So I was a champion before I even won the UFC belt, and I'm still a champion now. So it doesn't burn me. You know, just anything, working out, running, sweating. It really just plays back. And a lot of the fight I don't even really remember, but when I see snippets of stuff that I don't even remember happened, it's like, oh, it's hard to watch. I'm like, man, I let him take me down like that. Like, I was really, you know, like, it's like, who the hell was that? You know, it's my shell was there, but my body, my soul wasn't. So, you know, I can't really put my finger on what happened, but when people call me former champ, it's like, God, man. I'm not trying to tell you not to do it, because they've been doing it all day on the ESPN, you know what I mean? So it's a part of the game.
Tyron Woodley's our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. Now it's time for the fight analyst, Dan Tom. What do you have for Tyron Woodley?
Hey, Tyron. You know, I'm glad Goes just actually brought that up, because for one, I had the inclination to call you champ as well, and for two, it actually kind of ties into my point. You know, I believe it was this show we were talking about your resume the other day, and I brought up that your resume is going to age like wine, which is not just a compliment. I think it's a rare compliment in the sport when you look at even really, great fighters or former champions, to kind of bring back that word. You can poke holes in a lot of the resume, but I think your resume is going to age like wine. And as far as the champ thing goes, I hope you do take it as a respect, Tyron, because, you know, I believe you're owed that. You know, for example, I want to call you champ, but if Steve Jenham, who won the the UFC 2 or 3 as an alternate came in this room, I'd be like, hey guys, it's Steve Jenham. Whereas, no offense to Steve Jenham, but if Tyron Woodley, is on the show like he is now, it's Champ. So I wanted to just kind of double on to that point.
Definitely, well, I appreciate it for sure. You think
no problem.
You think about this game of mixed martial arts, and it's just crazy. You can be riding high, and then it only take 1 or 2 fights for it goes in front of you. So I just think about I know where I'm capable of. I know the UFC has never even seen me fight at 100%, just everything rolling. And as long as you just focus on your next performance. The second you start thinking about getting back to the belt and beating this guy, and I can't lose, and I gotta. That's when you start, seeing guys dwindle and start, going on a spiral. But as long as I just focus on what I didn't do that night is perform. I did not train hard. I did not allow music and television, all these other things, people that thought distracted me. I didn't allow that to stop me from being victorious. I did not perform. So now all I got to do is performance. I don't have to switch camps and change coaches and blame a nutritionist and give everybody else the blame on why I lost. I just got to go out there and make sure I perform. And whatever prevented me from doing that on that night, I got to go back and fix those things.
Yeah, definitely, Tyron. And I don't want to make you look in the rear view too much because, like you said, there's much more to look forward to. But in regards to Kamaru Usman and in regards to my previous comment of your resume going to be aging like wine, a lot of people I think are coming around to Kamaru Usman who might have been sleeping on him before. And I got to ask you, does part of you, obviously you know what you have to do the next time you meet him, whether it be for a belt or otherwise, but until that time happens, Tyron, does part of you kind of root for a guy like that to do well? I mean, it only kind of makes you look even better back to that resume that we point out.
Yeah, I've never rooted against him. I never wanted to, oh man, forget this guy. He took my belt. He won a fight, and I had the belt in the fight, and because he beat me, now he has the belt. He didn't break into my home like an armed robber and steal it from me, and cost me so much trauma and stuff like that. So yeah, any pure martial artist, somebody he was very respectful before. We joked a little bit about the LL Cool J did, but overall, he never discredited me. I never discredited him. But it makes sense for him to say, I'm the greatest or one of the greatest in the world. Because if he comes up victorious, now he looks like he just beat the greatest welterweight of all time. So that's smart and strategic. But at the end of the day, I definitely want to be able to perform because, I want him to be at his best too. That's probably his best fight of his life. I mean, we can all say that. But I want to fight him as he's at that mode that he was in March 2nd. And I want to fight him when I'm 100%, fighting like Tyron Woodley fights. And I just believe at that pace, nobody can beat me. And, of course, if that rematch happens, when that rematch, he gets to his next opponent, then, I would obviously give him the third, the rubber match. I wouldn't go on there and be like, okay, I got it back, let's move on with life. I want to show that I can do it again. So that's kind of my mindset, get back in there, get in that fight. If Kobe fights him and he ends up winning, well, obviously I'm going to want to whoop Kobe's ass. Then after that, I would want to give Usman a rematch because I got to get that back. It's killing me.
I definitely hear you there. That you make the message loud and clear there, Tyron. But in the spirit of looking forward, obviously, you already kind of weighed in on a potential Lawler rematch, and obviously you just weighed in on the title picture as it pertains to Kamaru and Colby. But I got to ask you, we were talking about matchups, earlier this week on what's next for Tyron, and one of the things I was saying is Tyron, to me, even though I understand he's definitely you could give him a rematch straight off the belt, straight off the bat, and nobody should argue that. But at the same time, I feel like you're in this tier, Tyron, where you can call out these kind of special fights. I hate to throw the word super fight around, but just for example, your teammate Anthony Pettis went up a division. He knocked out Wonderboy Thompson, and he was on, I would argue, another former champion used that word again, but I would argue he was on in a much more dire place than you are yourself, and now he's right back at the top. Have you yourself humored any of those kind of moves, whether it's welcoming a big name up to 170 or picking out a big name to go up to at 185?
When you think about what Anthony Pettis did, like you said, he was in the position where he, was injured, a lot of fights was winning, a lot of fights on wars, and, he ended up on the wrong side of the coin. So him going up there, we have a very short-term memory as analysts, as fans, as journalists of the sport of mixed martial arts. There's too many fights that go on for someone to remember what you did 8 months ago. And that's part of the reason why I voluntarily chose not to wait. The option for me to wait to see what happens between Kobe and Usman was there. But think about our sport as performance-based, right? So while I'm waiting, in the last memory you have is me having an out-of-body experience against Usman March 2nd. But then fresh on your mind is Game Bread knocking out Till, then coming in and get beat up by Robbie, grabbing the choke, whether it was a finish or not. Some guys fighting. Now the winner, they got so much momentum, and it's off performances. So I feel like I have to keep busy. It's not guaranteed I'm going to get a title shot. I think it would be valid that I should. You think about Joanna Jędrzejczyk, lost fair and square to Rose, actually finished, instant title shot. Ronda Rousey knocked out, instant next title fight. Same thing with Cody Garbrandt and several, Holly Holm, she lost one belt and fought another belt, lost another belt. So I think, we've seen this story being played so many different times. For someone that's been so dominant as I have in a division that may be the toughest division in the world, I think that itself, should say, oh, you know what? Tyron didn't make no excuses. He wasn't reigning champion. We ain't never seen him fight like that before. Let's run that back. And, so if that's not exactly what's happening, I got to stay busy. I can't let these other guys outperform me.
I hear that. Last one for me is a lighthearted one, Tyron. I was looking at your Instagram here, and for your album release, you looks like you did like a handmade card or a picture of one of House Party, and I'm a big fan of early 90s, and I grew up watching that movie, although I was too young to fully understand it. You a fan of House Party or anything from that era, Tyron? Or?
Yeah, man, I was a huge fan of House Party, and I actually saw him play. I don't even know his real name, but he would just always play to me. I saw him randomly in Atlanta. I was out there for the Super Bowl, and I saw him, and I just looked at him because at this time he's a little older, and he don't have the high top box. I was looking at him, kind of like disappointed. You're like looking at his hair, like, why would you have that regular haircut?
I mean,
but you were looking at Kid then. You were looking at Kid. Kid was the one that had that.
Kid.
That's right.
That's what I said. Did I say play?
You said play, yeah.
I'm gonna say this just for the visual. You can throw it back in my face, Tyron, but just know it's in good spirit. Also, my second thought when I saw that was, man, how funny would that be for Tyron and Ben Askren to do a tandem costume as Kid and play? You get Ben Askren will just kind of modify his.
You know what? Hey, people trying to get me and Ben to do podcasts and show because we so opposite. Like he's like completely oblivious to anything current in technology or social media. But he'll tell you every stat about every wrestler, every fighter, known to man.
Wow.
They're like completely like bipolar opposites, like completely not even on the same spectrum. The only thing we agree upon is training hard and winning.
Tyron, who do you think will win between Covington and Usman?
It's tough to say. Covington will probably struggle in the actually striking department, but. He has a crazy pace, and I think he can push that pace against Usman, get it close. Usman has some good striking abilities, but, he's not known for one punch KO power. He's got decent power. He'll hit you and knock you down, but, certain guys are known that if they touch you, it might be it. I think Kobe can get close enough and try to press him and make it a grappling war for longer. So I think they both are in the mix. I think the later the fight goes, the better it looks for Kobe. But I think both of those guys would be well conditioned, well game planned, and sometimes you see two wrestlers going against each other, and they end up being a striking war. So if it comes to that point, I have to go with Usman.
Okay, all right. And the last question I want to ask you was, I'm a big proponent of when the champion fights, fight on that card, or fight very close to. Now we don't know when Usman will be back because he had the double hernia surgery, and I was wondering, had you thought about just waiting to see when the announcement got made and getting on the same card? That way, in case anyone slip up, boom, you're right there.
Yeah, I just don't know that I got the juice right now to say, okay, I will fight this guy, but I want to fight him on that card. Have him wait on me. and we're going to find out when this card is. You're going to put us in the co-main event. I asked I said, I want to be on the same card. Whenever they fight, I want to be on the same card. That way, if somebody get injured, I can pop in, put some ass right quick. If that doesn't happen now, we both have equal amount of time to recover, so that we can fight each other a lot of times. So that was something. That was the first thing I thought.
Oh, good.
But
Okay.
I think with Usman's injury and surgery, it wasn't 100% known. It wasn't 100% known. Give me one second. It wasn't 100% known what he was going to do next. So how long it was going to take him to get to be back in the octagon. So I can't put my destiny in other fighters and what they're doing. If this guy beats this guy fight this guy, and they both pass the drug test, and this is 90% of their fight, unless Conor McGregor come in and but let's just fight.
Gotcha.
This is fucking nonsense. Let's just whoop some ass. Do best.
Hear you loud and clear. All right, champ. Thanks so much for the time. We appreciate it as always. I hope you are feeling better. And keep knocking out of the park on ESPN and everything else you're doing. TMZ Sports. You do a great job pretty much at anything you get your hands on. So, we tip our hat to you.
All right. Appreciate you guys.
All right. Take care. We'll see you.
Bye-bye.
That's T. Wood, man. They don't make them better than that dude.
Nah, that guy's
Keeps
solid.
it real, solid. Yeah.
All the
I
way
like
from
that
the
guy.
beginning, all the way back from Strikeforce, is pretty much the same dude.
Yeah. All right. There you have it, folks. That is Tyron Woodley, and that's a great way to start the show. So now we're going to have a little bit of fun. It is a Friday, but there's still news to cover and some segments that we've worked on and some updates to give on March Madness. So stick around. We'll be right back. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation Channel 93.
we're going to cancel an event.
So, we're going to make our upcoming move to channel 156 on Thursday, April 4th, nice and easy on you. Preset Fight Nation on your dial right now, and we'll remain right where you set us no matter where we go.
It will shock you how much it never happened.
Our season never ends on Sirius XM Fight Nation.
I get paid to say things in this cool voice, and they get paid to be lame. Here are Gorgeous George and Goes.
Every minute of Westwood One's coverage of the NCAA tournament is on SiriusXM. Virginia Tech was able to beat Duke in the regular season. Can the 4th seed topple a 1 seed tonight in the Sweet 16? Find out at 9:39 Eastern on Sirius 135, XM 201, and streaming on your phone, and at home on SiriusXM connected devices and speakers. All right. Let's stick with the welterweight theme, guys. We just had one of the best to ever do it at 170, Tyron Woodley, on the show. And though we didn't 100% confirm Robbie Lawler, the UFC, or I believe ESPN broke it. We had it, ESPN. You know, like, I'm led to believe that this probably will happen, but there's still some other matchups I think we can talk about so we can kind of make sense a little bit of 170 pounds, which is kind of circling back to being my favorite. For a long time, 70 was my favorite, and then it became 45. Now, quietly, I really like 55. It's just that 55 has so much drama in it, and everyone else's favorite weight class is 55, and I like to be different, so I think I've always, you know, cozied up to 70 and 45, but I think I'm circling back to 70. 70 is just insane. Check out some of these
55
matchups.
is everybody's, like, their little favorite, right?
Kind of, yeah.
Everybody loves 55.
And that's been, like, the story for the last 10 years. So, we know, well, Usman and Covington don't have a date yet, but it sounds like they're fighting. And that's how I'm going to treat Woodley versus Lawler.
Fair enough.
All right. McDonald, and I'm looking at USA Today Sports and MMA Junkies Rankings. You can go to MMAjunkie.com/rankings and look at the welterweight drop down. That's where I'm at right now. Ben Askren comes in at number 5. He just signed on to fight Jorge Masvidal July 6th here in Las Vegas, UFC 239, headlined by John Jones and Maheta Santos. By the way, he's still going to Chicago now?
No, but that's exactly what I was talking about, that type of fight.
Okay.
Now it makes it, now I'm totally in.
All right.
It needed that.
Darren Till does not have an opponent yet, and I don't want him to because he recently took a vicious KO from Jorge Masvidal. Honestly, I don't want to see that. I want to see him later in the year, October, November, December. All right. Stephen Thompson. He just got beat by Anthony Pettis, and that one was pretty bad too. I would not like to see Stephen Thompson until the fall either.
Okay.
Rafael Dos Anjos is fighting Kevin Lee. Wait a minute, George. Kevin Lee's is lightweight. Nope, he's moving up to welterweight. And I like the timing of it. Who asked the question about the timing? Was that you, Dan Tom?
No.
To Tyron Woodley about exploring
the
higher weight class?
Oh, yeah.
I think Lee's doing it at the perfect time because, look, Habib, the champ, not even thinking about fighting. Conor, the big wild card that can mess up anything because of his popularity and of course, his accomplishments. He hasn't sorted anything out. Hell, I guess technically he's retired. Tony Ferguson, the former interim champ, who's teasing that he's getting healthier by the minute, as this moment is on the shelf. You got 2 guys that are fighting for the interim belt. One that deserves to be there, Dustin Poirier. The other one, Max Holloway. He has a division to fight out still. He hasn't cleared it yet. He's awesome. He's an awesome featherweight. I'm not going to take that away from him. But I was shocked to see that he's fighting for an interim title. So while all that's going on and Lee's coming off a loss, why not try it, right? He's doing the same thing Anthony Pettis did. He's doing the same thing Cowboy, RDA himself, Masvidal, that they've all explored, and that's just going up a division and see how it goes. You're playing with house money.
But does it prove something, though? Because to me, Pettis beating Wonder Boy, that's like a true 170. He's fighting RDA, who came from 155 and has been successful.
And started at 170, though, remember?
Yeah, but he's not like one of the bigger dudes. Okay. I think if you're going to test yourself, I feel like remember when Benson did it? Well, who was it, Brandon Thatch or someone like that, right? I just remember looking at him and going, wow, okay, if you can deal with that, then you're probably not going to have too many problems. I feel like Kevin Lee could do that, And to me, I don't know that it would like really test the waters at 170. Maybe it would test like his body, how to make weight, how to properly come in, muscle versus I don't know, but I don't know that it really does that much.
Yeah, I'm for that matchup because Pettis wants it. It's a fun rematch. I'd be down for it at 170 if that happened, but I don't know if it was earlier this week or last week. Guys getting moved up and getting put against the same guy as far as that goes. Like Go said.
But you said Pettis.
Sorry, we're kind of bouncing all over on fighters we're talking about. But back to the point was that it doesn't do as much for me either when you have two lightweights to move up to welterweight. We pit them together at welterweight. It's not telling me how that guy does as a welterweight. So
okay, I can buy into that.
Yeah.
I can buy into that. But fair point. At least you'll get to see how his body responds to 170, not having to cut an additional 15. So, all right. Moving on here. Lawler and again circles back to Tyron Woodley. Douglas Lima. He is at Bellator. He's fighting Michael Venom Page. Santiago Ponzinibbio, opponentless. That's who I wanted for Tyron Woodley, a fresh matchup.
Yeah.
And I believe Mike Bond just did the whole ATT gym invasion, and he sounded like he is ready to fight. Like there's nothing holding him back from fighting. So I really would have wanted to see that fight. Could that be the guy that Leon Edwards gets maybe? Is that the last two that are left to dance together?
Process of elimination,
all the dance
right?
partners are taken up. Like, all right, you want to dance?
Mm-hmm. Process of elimination, I think. I really am shocked. Like, I love the Askren matchup. I really think it's going to be a fun fight, a good fight. But the whole Leon Edwards thing has just kind of left me. I don't know. Like, what happens if we never get to see that?
And how many wins in a row does Leon Edwards have? He kind of deserves a better spot. He needs that name to kind of get over.
Ponzinibbio was good.
Ponzinibbio is in the same. I'd be down for it. It makes sense, but it sucks because these guys are like the low key killers, and they're not getting any of the names.
Dos Santos needs one too.
Exactly. That's why.
Well, one of them's going to get Magny. Although now I'm hearing Chiesa might get Magny, which
kind of confusing.
That makes much more sense. Chiesa versus Magny. Let's see him against.
We might have to see two young killers, Dan Tom, face each other, right?
Probably the way they have. That's the way they do it. The most deserving guys, the most winning streak guys are the guys that. What's your reward? Not getting ranked what you should be. Not getting your title shots like you should be. No, it's fighting the other killer that's not getting his dues, killing off everybody. Now you guys get to kill each other because that's how we matchmake sometimes. I don't understand it, guys.
Well, someone can fight Damian Maia. He's a veteran. And I guess we just have to wait on Thompson until, to be fair. I think we would all agree on that one. And yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see what else is out there. I mean, we only go 15 deep plus 3 honorable mentions, which means we go about 18 deep, but a few of those are Bellator fighters. So
yeah,
I suppose I could pull up Fight Matrix or Topology. They rank all the way to 100.
And you're right. Damian Maia's that name that could put him over too. But did Damian Maia state that he's pretty much looking at the door out and he just wants to go out on that win now? And he just got a win, but he didn't retire after that, right? It was a win in Brazil, but I got to imagine he's only got maybe 1 or 2 more left, and yeah. So I don't know if he's going to want to take the killer guy on a win streak again. Like he's been.
Plus,
he's been.
I think Edwards has 3 sub losses, right? Do you remember?
No, I think he has 1 early in his career.
Okay.
And a decision loss, and he had 2 decision losses.
Whoever you give Damian Maia to, though, you're not really doing them a favor.
There's still your Gunnar Nelsons out there.
You're right.
Your Anthony Rocco Martins out there. I'm going to Fight Matrix, who ranks them further down. Alex Oliveira, Vicente Luque. Holy cow, Vicente Luque is a good fighter, man. Well, that's another killer who needs a big fight.
Well, I'll harken back to our Monday daily debate as far as a solution, because you're bringing up great guys there like Ponzinibbio, George, and you're bringing up Alizé Zaleski, and my pitch was throw Pettis to those guys, because you're not disturbing the rankings so much with Pettis. He's still new, even though he has a big win, and he's got that name.
Okay.
And
maybe, yeah.
And you give him that coach thing where where a lot of fighters, from whether it's from McGregor to not so big people, a lot of those big fighters are like, I never fought in Brazil. I always wanted to. I never really got that opportunity. Maybe you kind of sell them on that, Anthony Pettis. You've done so much. Especially you want that Aldo fight, make an appearance in Brazil, plant that seed, call out Aldo after the win. I'm sure they could sell it to him.
I thought I had gone to page 2, which would have been 26 through 50, and I was like, look how deep welterweight is. And I look and it says Artem Nemakov, Marco Smallman, Codale Ford, Derek Atkins. I'm like, who the fuck are these guys?
I don't even know.
And then I realized that was number 626, 627, 628.
Yes.
So I must have hit last in second instead of second. While I sort all this out, let's get to the call. Who do we have?
We have Dave from Detroit.
What's up, Dave? How you doing?
Hey, how you guys doing, man? You all right?
Yeah, man. How about you?
I'm doing great. Great conversation you guys are having. I got to catch the last bit of you guys talking to Tyron Woodley. That was awesome. Great guy, huh?
Yeah, he's always been like that. It's so funny. He never changes. And, like, for as big as he's gotten, like, every once in a while, for those of you who haven't seen our studio here at Mandalay Bay, it's in the sports book. And there's two fat heads. It's George and my heads up on the window. And every now and again, he'll just walk by, take a picture with it, and just send it. He's a total nice guy, man.
I really think he's settling into that analyst role. Seeing him with Megan O'Leary over the weekend, and he was just professional as can be. Like I was telling your producer lady, I really think the UFC missed out on having him fight Conor for one, for whatever reason. And you know, Colby Covington had that broken nose and stuff like that. I think that was really silly because that would have been a really great fight. So, you know, kind of in keeping with the welterweights and what you guys are talking about, I'm really excited about Jorge Masvidal versus Ben Askren. Long story short, I think Masvidal wins that fight in the third round, maybe even by a technical knockout. I'm really looking forward to that. I would really like to see Anthony Pettis stay at 170 and take on Leon Edwards. I think that would be a fantastic matchup. Big props to Tyron for, you know, seemingly I guess he's going to be taking on Robbie Lawler here. That's a OMG, you know, who knows what's going to happen with that. Who's Dos Santos fighting?
Galeski Dos Santos? Zaleski Dos Santos, that guy?
Or Rafael.
Or Junior? Or
RDA.
RDA. Dos Anjos is fighting Kevin Lee. Rochester, May 11th, I believe.
Oh, wow.
May 18th, sorry.
The Motown phenom, man, Kevin Lee. You know, that's pretty interesting, too. I think that's a good matchup. Pabanizio, or, you know, Santiago there, it seems like he's a little bit left out. But you guys said Vincente Luque. I really like that guy.
Yeah.
I think his outside is
mentioned him.
Extremely.
How about the Barbarina fight?
Eli,
that seems like ancient history, and that was an awesome fight.
I mean, this is all.
I mean,
this
155
is all somebody
and
stays
170
healthy.
is insane.
Yeah.
You know, those are the two. Just looking at these rankings here, it's like everybody's. I'm really excited about where with this ESPN deal and how it's all. It just, I don't know why, you know, besides Fox, and it's unfortunate, but this ESPN thing just makes it 10 times more professional, I guess. What do you guys think?
No, we love the ESPN deal. The ESPN era, the ESPN deal, the ESPN renegotiated deal. Happy about all of it, man, because it tells me that the UFC's growing. If the UFC's growing, then the sport is growing, which is good for everybody. Thank you very much for the call. Always love when the Motowners check in with us. I did want to say one thing that it was David, right? That David said?
Yeah.
He said, it's too bad that he didn't fight Woodley last year. And then I sat back and thought, Woodley fought in September. Khabib fought in October. Looking back, would it have been worth Conor saying, fuck it, I'll try and beat Woodley at welterweight, even though it's a monumental task because he's a bigger fighter, stronger fighter, wrestling and everything. But Khabib's has a little bit of that stocky, low center of gravity, committed to the wrestling. Like either one of them was a monumental task. One of them would have been taking out one guy that's undefeated who holds the belt that you used to hold, but the other one would have been I capture a third belt. Like looking back, the timing may have worked on that. Did we consider it then, or did we just?
I think we did it part of a daily debate once. I thought he was like the fourth option.
Yeah.
But dude, Tyron hits so hard, man. I don't know. What do you think, Dan?
I would swap that idea usually, but the fact is when George is bringing it up, it technically wouldn't have held up the lightweight division. That's why I would have swatted it. because I'm like, no, defend lightweight. Cry.
Tony could have been ready to go for Khabib, right?
Yeah.
And then Conor would have just taken Tyron and Dallas. But here's the thing. I know Dallas wasn't. That's not a location where McGregor fights. He's either a Vegas guy or a New York guy. It's got to be somewhere where you can ask the public to spend $1,200, $1,500 for a ticket. Anyway, my mind just drifted off for just a second there. But that was a solid call by David. All right, listen, we're going to take another break. When we come back, we'll talk about some of the news that broke today, talking about Endeavor, which is now what WME IMG calls themselves. That WME IMG, of course, is they're the people that purchased the UFC a few years ago. And here's a rumor. They could go public by year's end. What would this mean for the UFC? We'll talk about it when we come back.
Feels good.
Hey, remember Sam?
They were kicked off the set of The Fast and the Furious for being too loud and too good looking. Once again, here's gorgeous George and Goes.
All right, we're back. Got a little bit of time here before the top of the hour. Quick update. Auburn 60, North Carolina 48. 15 minutes left in that game. This is the round of 16. So they're trying to get down to 8. And then the winners of today on Sunday will play as they get down to, I guess, 4. Yeah, right? Final 4.
The Elite 8 and then the Final
Elite
4.
8 first, and then, 8. They get down to 8 on Saturday and Sunday, and then they get down to the Final Four. So this would be a monumental upset here. I know a lot of people have North Carolina going all the way, at least to the finals. And Auburn's up by a comfortable 10 points. And right now they hoist the 3, and it misses. But still, 10-point lead. Real quick, let me read this courtesy of Stephen Morocco, who got the report from the Wall Street Journal. The UFC's parent company is preparing to go public, according to a new report in the Wall Street Journal. Endeavor LLC, which purchased the UFC in 2017 for $4.025 billion, is readying paperwork for an initial public offering that could see the company hit the stock market by the end of the year. The company was valued at $4 billion 1 year ago when it raised $400 million from Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, an investment later returned by Endeavor CEO Ari Emanuel after the murder of Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi, who was linked. Jamal? Did I say it wrong? Okay.
No.
Who was linked to the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. UFC President Dana White claimed this past August that the promotion's value had gone up to $7 billion. I remember hearing that. And by the way, Ari Emanuel, his brother is the mayor of Chicago. You've seen him a lot now in that Jesse Smollett case. If you've seen that guy, forget what his first name is, Emanuel, that's his brother.
Well, I didn't know that. I know Sterling Peterson is the Chicago Police Department chief.
That dude's sharp, and that dude's pissed, man. That dude is pissed at that whole case. We could spend 2 hours just on that case. But anyway, so that's what's going down here. Now, I know a lot of people are either thinking one or two things. Ooh, wow, public offering. That means I could be a buyer. Yeah, you could. That's what public offerings are. And then the other thing is, ooh, wow, now the books are going to be a little bit more open.
A lot more open.
Right, except Endeavor is not just the UFC. It's one of many, I guess, businesses that are owned under that umbrella. So, for example, Viacom is publicly traded, and they own Bellator. But yet, we don't know everything about Bellator. Now, there could be ways to get to that, and it would be certainly a lot easier than being a private company. But regardless, that's for those that are curious, especially if you circle back to the lawsuits that the UFC's had, you know, the stuff with different unions that have wanted to form, and they want to get access to these numbers. For example, for the group that's trying to invoke the Muhammad Ali Act into MMA, things like that.
Isn't it a little bit more difficult to the people that run the business would have to run it a different way now, right? Because they answer to shareholders.
Correct. So a guy like Dana White could be voted out, per se.
Yeah. I think he just signed that 7-year extension, boys?
Yeah. Yeah, because if he did, then there would be a buyout and all that stuff.
Yeah, I guess the only speculation I'll weigh in, because that's really what it is kind of what you said. I'm interested if that is in fact true, the books will be open, and how far, like you guys said, they'll be able to see that in regards to how much these fighters are actually getting paid, and maybe that might motivate, fighters to whether it's something as radical as unionizing or just being more aware of how they handle themselves at these business tables with their managers, or being, influence them in the positive, I guess, is my silver lining off that
too.
But yeah, I guess I'll just say it kind of fits in line for you tinfoil hatters, kind of looking at things as far as moving the pay-per-view model to what the power structures that are in play, and how that plays even with Conor McGregor as far as offering the co-main event, and is this negotiations with his retirement and money and stuff like that. There's an argument right now the UFC is not as dependent on those big stars. And you look at moves like going under the umbrella from streaming services to the umbrella of the corporate public, could point in that direction. Yeah, they're definitely in investing in what they feel is the safest for the long haul.
Like Manchester United, for example, they have public stock as well. They have owners and shareholders, and but yeah, you do have people to answer to. I will say that this is just a report that came to the Wall Street Journal, and I don't think that anything is official as of yet. And then them big loans that you hear about, the UFC's got these big loans. That's why they're doing these champ
fights, and that's why they're doing making these crazy moves. That's one thing, by raising the all that, raising capital, right?
Yeah.
The first thing you do is pay off those loans, and then they would at least be free of those problems.
Yeah.
Anyway, as you can tell, none of us here are bankers.
That's for sure.
But it's big news, and I'm sure there'll be more over the weekend as this continues to unfold. All right, it's the top of the hour break that's coming up. We still got 1 hour to go. Call in like David just did by
using 877-FIGHT-93 or 877-344-4893. And let me reiterate, Channel 93 is going to change on April 4th to Channel 156. You leave your preset alone, it'll just become Fight Nation. Just leave it alone. But if for whatever reason at some point you just forget or get lost in the transition, remember, on April 4th, we're going to become Fight Nation Channel 156. We'll be right back in about 60 seconds.
Tell your boss to reschedule that meeting. Call your wife and tell her lunch is off. It's time for more MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Goes.
Also joined by Dan Tom on Mondays and Fridays. Follow him on Twitter at DanTomMMA and check out the Protect Your Net podcast. It dropped. I saw some junkies giving it some love, Dan.
Yeah, it's
I
too
know
kind.
you've been breaking down the fights for Philly, so I can't wait to dig into that as well. Dan's also gracious enough for those of you that just want to hit the speed dial. He gives you basically the collection of his picks towards the end, so check it out. All right, I can think of no better way to start the second hour than the daily debate. So if you guys are buckled up, I think it's time for the daily debate. Let's do it.
The brothers Garcia seemingly can't agree on anything.
Everybody knows it's duck season. Rabbit season. Duck season. Rabbit season.
Whether it's food,
less filling. Tastes great. Less filling. Tastes great.
Gambling.
Always bet on black.
I like red.
Black. Red. Black. Red. Black, dummy.
Or even social media.
Instagram.
Snapchat.
Instagram.
Snapchat. The same applies to the biggest stories in MMA. Time for MMA Junkie Radio's Daily Debate.
Today's hashtag daily debate for at MMA Junkie Radio. Several big title fights were announced this week in both the UFC and Bellator. Hashtag UFC and hashtag Bellator. Which one are you most looking forward to? Hashtag UFC 238, hashtag 239, and hashtag Bellator London. Here we go. There's four choices. Nunes and Holm at UFC 239. Cejudo and Moraes at UFC 238. Mousasi and Lovato at Bellator, or Jones and Santos at UFC 239. Go ahead, Dan. Who do you like?
I want to say that Lovato Mousasi is probably not going to get a lot of love, guys, but I want to tell you why I almost went with it, if I can, real quick, is because I don't want to overlook Lovato because he's been just quietly doing work on the Bellator scene, but if Mousasi goes in there and takes care of business, the possibilities for that, dude. We're talking about Bader's success right now as champ. I think that's a very attractive matchup at light heavyweight more than Vadim Nemkov, even though I'm a big fan of Nemkov and he should get his due. We know how this game goes. And you just look at rematches that he could, parlay, whether it's Machida or other guys. I feel like Mousasi has a lot to gain. But I'm going to go with Cejudo and Moraes. It's a fight that we could poke holes in it and criticize, but I'm going to put any kind of criticisms you might have aside, and that's just a fun fight. It's a real deceptive fight from how the odds have it. They actually have Cejudo as a slight underdog here, or at least as a decent underdog. So that's really interesting. But I'm a big fan of Moraes as well. I don't know where to go. I'm excited for that one.
And by the way, that one is also, both of those guys are dominance MMA athletes. Yeah. So Abdelaziz will be in a tough spot there.
Wow, that's right.
And how about that? Moraes, the former WSOF, now known as the PFL champ, the favorite against the UFC fighter.
Yeah.
Okay. What were the odds? Do you remember off the top?
I'm not sure. I don't want to say. I know he opened as an underdog. I didn't see where the line was taken. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. How about you guys?
I'm going to go with the same one. You've seen people try and become champ, but have you ever seen somebody try and be champ gold medalist? You get that street cred. I think you're looking over at, like, champ now becomes a thing of, that's cute, but look what I accomplished. I think it almost destroys that saying champ. And it's a great matchup.
Your giggle reminded me of the gecko.
The Geico
$2. This is a Victorian chair, whatever he tells him. Yeah. All right, well, I almost went Nunes home, and I didn't because Amanda is – I want to see if she ices yet another future Hall of Famer. I mean, not only is she out there winning, she is just clipping these young ladies, you know, off their perches. And these are like the Tates, Cyborgs, Rouseys. Those are names that have been argued to be on Mount Rushmores of MMA. Mm-hmm. And here you have a young lady that's just going through all of them. And if she can add home to the mix, that would be like a double wow for me. You know what I mean? Because it's just quite an impressive run.
Valentina keeps winning, so that kind of ups her stock as well.
Exactly. But I went for the low-hanging fruit, and I'll tell you why. Because Santos has one punch KO. Santos fights just, they don't suck. Him and Manuel, by the way. Barbarina versus Luque, by the way. I mean, there have been some great fights in these last 6 months, and they get glossed over like no big deal.
Yep.
That's what MMA is special, man. Boxing, we talk about some of the same fights. You know what I mean? Or we go back 30, 40 years. But I swear to God, MMA can just give you some of the best stuff. Within the last 3 to 6 months, you can name off amazing fights. So I like that the fact that he's going to push Jones. And Jones, honestly, I feel like he's reinvigorated. Now, this will be his third fight like in 8 months, and I think that's pretty special because he missed out so much. So I know it's low-hanging fruit, guys, but I'm going with that one. I just thought I'd give you the other one I was considering.
But it's not a recipe you've never seen, George.
What do you mean?
You've seen this before. A guy with one-punch knockout power.
Well, yeah, you're right, because I did say Smith had the hands where he could put out John Jones. You're right. I mean,
I think it was excitement. The excitement that kind of killed it for me for the Jones Santos one was the fact that they were teasing Stipe Jones right before that. I think that kind of killed it for me. But I will say a low-key caveat for people that did pick Nunes home. What left does Nunes have to do if she beats Holly Holm? And more so, she's hinted about
downhill from here.
She's hinted about retirement. You're on a big pay-per-view international fight week. You win. You nothing else to do. You're on the pay-per-view shares with names like John Jones. I mean, we could see the last of Amanda Nunes right there for a minute at least.
Amanda Nunes has got like the fastest car out there, right? But there was always Cyborg, and I felt like everybody kept saying, well, you haven't raced Cyborg yet, though. You know what I mean?
Right.
When she beats Cyborg, after that, she can honestly say she took her pink slip, and now she drives the fastest car. And everything else is just going to be, someone's going to have to catch her. But right now, Nunes is it.
But Henry Cejudo is going to be on a completely different track.
Oh,
track that nobody else can drive onto.
Gold,
they'll get a ticket.
Champ gold medal. That was pretty damn impressive. You're right. But how about the fact that he hasn't? I mean, well, Dillashaw was a title defense, but I want to see more of those still. You know what I mean?
It's coming.
I like the title. I think the title defense is first, and then the champ status. If you just go to champ status, well, so many fighters could have done that, but instead they were busy trying to keep a lock on their own division. We'll see. It was pretty close voting in a way. So Jones Santos, we all believe, would have been number one, and it was at 45%. 24% though for Cejudo Moraes. Nunes and Holm, man, the ladies held it down at 22%. And Musasi Lovato almost came in at 10%. They had 9. That's not so bad, just because UFC is so uber popular. But I love that some hardcores chimed in and gave some love to that fight. That's almost 1,400 votes that came in, so thank you to all them. By the way, Jacob Roberts at Jake Rowe 24004-780 said, how about Askren Masvidal? And I say, how about reading the Daily Debate that clearly says several big title fights were announced this week? Just kidding, Jacob. Thanks for chiming in. And there's your Daily Debate, again, from the MMA Junkie radio team. All right. What's the score now? Oh, my God, it's up.
62.
I remember when North Carolina was down 12 with 50 minutes left. Now they're down 14 with 8 minutes left.
So if I go out into the sports book, am I going to hear a bunch of gentlemen go, what in the hell?
Kind of.
Bobber?
Michigan State is beating LSU 73-63, and that one's really close to finishing. That one's got 2.5 minutes left. North Carolina still has time, but boy, are they playing with fire. Wow. Would your brackets be wrecked?
Yeah, I think everybody's would be. A lot of people have them winning the whole thing.
Do you really?
I
do they really?
I don't.
I have Gonzaga.
Oh, he's grabbing his knee.
Gonzaga's been looking good.
I'm going to pull up my bracket right now real fast.
By the way, speaking of basketball, when you asked, I wasn't correcting you on Jamal. That's just a trigger. It triggered me into one of my Sean Connery impersonations. The
writer?
The Finding Forrester movie. Yeah, he's the kid playing basketball. Jamal. Yes.
So,
Jamal.
Chili Billy McDonald is no longer number 1.
Chili Billy.
In fact, boy, he took a fall. He's like tied for 16th.
Jesus.
Yeah. Number 1 is Mari Martinez.
Oh, good job, Mari.
Number 2 is Troy Clark. Number 3 is Michael Johnson.
Oh, nice. He's
Number
this
4
weekend.
is Steve Straub. Number 5 is Roger Stillwell. Over here, Stillwell. You know what that's from?
Tombstone.
Yeah. Number 6, Joseph Gonzalez. Number 7, John Cannon.
Tie, right?
Tied for number 7 is Dave Manley from MMA Bobblehead. Oren Hodak, tied for number 9, along with Humpty Sean.
Hello, Oren.
Marissa Rivas tied for number 11 with KDT.
Can we give bottom of the pack awards? I think that's where I'll be.
Did you get into Anton?
I did. I want to see how low I got.
Oh, you got into Simons, right?
Maybe it was.
Let me
Maybe
see
it was
here.
a different one.
Let me see if I can pull up.
How terrible it was. I
Did
just
you fill
guessed
out
through.
A bracket, Gabby?
We did for Luke's show.
How you doing?
He wanted us all to fill out a bracket, like all the staff on Luke's show. So it's me, one of the other, I think Andre, Mike, the producer, and then Luke. And I think I'm winning last time we checked.
Really?
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Mike told me yesterday that I was winning, but I don't know any. After tonight, everything's going to change anyway, probably. So
Those guys must suck.
I'm trying to look up
what does that mean about me? That's not nice.
Andre.
Oh, no, you're great. I'm saying they must suck.
They must suck if I'm winning.
You know what, Gabby? We got a female on top. We only actually have one female on staff, and she happens to be on top of the lead pick. Shout out to Fernanda.
That's true.
Practice. So
yeah, I thought it would just be like a 1-week honeymoon or something.
She's doing
and
good.
All of a sudden, she'd take a fall, and then she backed it up with like a 5-1 and a 6-0.
Yeah.
I was like, what's going on here? And she's a little bit handcuffed to. She loves the Brazilians. We always give her a hard time about it, but somehow she's been able to just see it through. In fact, let me pull that up right now.
I love that we give her a hard time on it.
What you mean?
Yeah, we do that shit too. Here.
Oh yeah, definitely. The staff picks. Let me pull those up. Let's see what those look like real quick.
Cost me a crucial one last week too.
All right, so the junkie readers in general, because they all go against us.
They're unstoppable.
No, they're not.
The junkie readers?
Yeah, no, the leaders have done well against them. I mean, not me personally, but this year the junkie readers are 56-21. So they're winning. You're right about that. Fernanda is number 1 amongst the staff. She's 58-19. And if you're wondering, she's got Barbosa, Hermanson, Johnson, Kovalkiewicz, Nchikuwu. Am I saying that right, Dan?
Neschuku, I think, but that's
okay.
That's
and
I
Yusuf.
don't know if I'm right.
Trent Reinsmith
Kennedy
is 56-21. So Fernanda's beating the readers, okay, and then Trent Reinsmith is even with the readers. He's got Gaethje, Hermanson, Johnson, Kovalkiewicz, Nchikuwu, and Yusuf. Where's Dan Tom? Oh, there he is.
Me and
Tied
Ben.
with Ben at 54-23. Both got Gaethje. Dan Tom's got Hermanson. Folks has Branch. Dan Tom's got Johnson. Folks has Emmett. Oh, wow.
Some movement there that
you
can
got
happen.
Kovalkiewicz. He's got Watterson.
Me and Trent have same picks for both Bellator and UFC, so I'm not gaining any on him this weekend, but we'll see with me and Ben, man. I tried to look at it, to be honest, till the end of the year, because I think that's how I jinxed myself. You don't get any credit for being like top of the list for majority of the year and then losing at the end. So, but I will say, at least for what it's worth, is I've been consistently on those top couple slots since the inception of me joining in. So
I'm going for champ.
Otherwise, I lose my job, guys. If I get like lower than 4 or 5, there's no way the fight analyst needs to be getting that low.
By the way, we have a final in the Michigan
champ.
State LSU game. It's 80-63. That game's over. Michigan State advances to the Elite 8 round. which will be played on Sunday for them. I'll see if I can pull up a bracket that kind of makes a little bit more sense of it.
Jamal.
The other game looks like is in a commercial. That's going to be the big one right there. North Carolina and Auburn. Last I saw, they were like 7:57, and it was still a 14-point lead. All right. Philadelphia takes place on Saturday. You guys ready to discuss it?
Let's do it.
First, we got to take a commercial. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation Channel 93. When we come back, we'll talk about Gaethje and Barboza. We'll talk about some of these big fights that are on the card, and we'll see which one of these fights is the most anticipated by the guys other than the main event. So keep it locked on 93. Don't go anywhere.
Tell your boss to reschedule that meeting. Call your wife and tell her lunch is off. It's time for more MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Goes.
All right, guys, we got plenty of time here to dive into UFC Philadelphia. I got the card all picked out here. If you go to MMAjunkie.com/rumors, all of our cards are there, including CES 55, which is taking place right now, Bellator 219, which is taking place right now, LFA 63, which is taking place right now. All those are big promotions, guys.
Yeah.
CES is on UFC Fight Pass. Bellator is on Paramount and another streaming service. LFA is on Access TV. That's a pretty damn good Friday night. If you're not at home watching MMA, you're an idiot. Forget us. Go watch them. Just kidding. Hang with us. We're almost done. And then tomorrow, of course, is UFC on ESPN2, Barboza versus Gaethje, with a start time of 3:30 p.m. Eastern for ESPN Plus. Those are 3 fights on ESPN Plus, equivalent of like the Fight Pass fights.
Yep.
Then they move over to ESPN for 10 fights, and that starts at 5 Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. Now let me pull up the odds. That way we can talk and hit both angles. Hey, who do I think is going to win, but who do I think might be worth a play?
Fast on that odds tab, George. You're fast.
Yep. It's kind of like one of my favorites.
Reflex.
So we kind of have to hustle a little bit. But, you know, say what you got to say. Mark De La Rosa versus Alex Perez. The odds on this fight are a big favorite for Alex Perez at about minus 300. I'm averaging it out here. De La Rosa comes back at about plus 265 or so. Dan Tom, you've poured over this type of footage. This is your spotlight, bro.
Super interesting. Just real quick note off the top. This is the 9th card in a row in this on this UFC stretch, and like George just listed all those events. My argument, instead of getting on the same soapbox, trying to explain big picture versus little picture in regards to oversaturation, all I'm going to say is for you savages, it says hit me with fights every week. Guess what? George just gave a great example. There are fights going on every week on different channels, free or streaming services, included with streaming services you already have, and or local events if they're not being streamed. There's a lot of local MMA, so if you really like MMA and want to support it, go support some MMA outside the UFC. Nothing wrong with that. But
Good point.
But back to this fight. I was a little odd about the odds. Seemed a little bit wide, but then you know what? Even though as much as I like De La Rosa, I was reminded how much I like Alex Perez. And he was on a really good run. He was opened as a slight underdog, but money came in to be favored against Joseph Benavidez. And even though I'm a big Joe B fan, and of course kind of pick him biasly, like probably your guys, not to throw you under the bus or anything, but yeah. I'll raise my hand for that. I could understand that because this guy's that talented. And Joe B, of course, rose to the occasion. Beautiful win. Got 2 stoppages. The thing is, guys, I think he got 3 stoppages there because, not to take anything away from Joe B, who actually admitted this, was kind of going apologizing. If you watch on Fight Pass, he acknowledges it. But there was actually a headbutt that dropped Perez because you see him drop before he gets the first TKO, and they actually clash heads. So I'm not taking anything away from Joe B. Y'all know I'm a big fan, but that does kind of put a mental asterisk, if you will. Not an official one, not taking away the win, but it puts a mental one that I like Alex Perez's. I don't think that's in. We should throw him over the fire for that. So I get why he's a big favorite. So I'll take Perez, but yeah, no place.
But if I just wanted it as an underdog, would I be crazy if I put a little bit on?
Does De La Rosa have paths to victory, or just leave it alone, George? Perez has got this.
You know, De La Rosa's main thing, he's got TKOs, but a lot of them are like more cumulative stoppage. He's not the one-punch power guy. Now, he has been improving that working with Factory X Muay Thai, but he's actually stayed at home in this camp back in Texas. Genesis Jiu-Jitsu. Jiu-Jitsu is his specialty. The problem is, even though he's got pretty good wrestling, I don't know if he's going to get Alex Perez down. Alex Perez is the better wrestler here, guys. So Alex Perez is going to dictate where this fight goes.
Okay, perfect. Love that. All right, one other thing here. Was I crazy when I mentioned Barbarina and Luque? When I mentioned Manuel and Santos? We really do get treated with some special fights in mixed martial arts, whereas in boxing, what are some of the favorites that always come up? Hagler and Hearns, Castillo and Corrales, Pacquiao and Marquez, too. You know, I mean, like, boxing has great fights, but a lot of them are cruise control fights. I remember Sean Porter and Keith Thurman was great. Was it early last year? I can't remember. I remember Kovalev and Ward. The first one was, you know, like, there's some real special ones. But, man, MMA is pretty special. If you like combat sports, fucking dig into some of these fights that take place. Some are on the undercard, some are in the middle. They're not always on the main card. There's really, really some barn burners that go down in our sport.
Margarito Cotto was the one I liked until that one got kind of sullied later. But I had round 11 on the pool of people I was watching it with, so I was just feeling the ride and got paid at the end. So that was always a nice one. Thanks, Margarito.
I think like at the fights, you know, if you were to poll their audience, they could probably dig up some good undercard fights and stuff like that. You know, but you're right. It's the same ones that keep getting talked about over and over.
They're more separated, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Whereas in MMA, there's a shitload,
with that,
and the poor guys just get buried. It's like, here's your check, Luque, Barbarina. See you in like 6 months. And that's it, you know, because there's just so much competition.
They have a bigger platform, though. That's the thing.
Boxing?
So, like, if you're watching that card, you can watch that on a big platform there fight. As we're boxing, like, you're not going to see most of the undercard.
Well, even if boxing has an awesome fight on the undercard, whoever's in the arena applauds. The announcers applaud. A few people that might be checking it out. But everyone's so invested in the main, sometimes the co-main, that it just doesn't seem to matter. Whereas in MMA, I will say this. Other athletes that are watching at home, all the media members, we give as much love to a good fight that's buried on an undercard as we do. So, all right, Sabina Matzo versus Marina Moros. Matzo is minus 165, Moros plus 131. Can the Colombian queen get it done?
You know, if it goes, you're asking about underdogs. It'll apply to this fight, and spoiler alert in case we don't get to it, it'll apply to a lot of the female fights where you want to throw money on dogs sometimes on those type of fights because we talk about heavyweight swings in fights that, you know, the one-punch power can make this fight swing. But I would argue flyweight males and the female lighter divisions, because they're both so light, both those divisions is the connecting cord here, guys, is that they're so light, they're so technical because they have to be, right, because they're smaller as females or the smaller men, that these fights are oftentimes a lot of really close, a lot of scrambling, a lot for the judges to take in. And these judges who supposedly know boxing pretty well, they're from that, they have a hard enough time deciding who gets the strikes right, guys? Mm-hmm. So a lot of these fights end up closer. So I wouldn't hate anybody looking at Marina Moros. She's an underdog. She's more experienced, UFC experience. However, you look at her record, I mean, there's only 3 wins on there. One of them is a split decision that probably should have went to Danielle Taylor. The other girl, like, retired after a couple amateur fights, was just like really brought in off of the European expansion, never really did much, no offense to Miss Stanchu. And then she had her kind of
Calderwood.
Yeah, her Calderwood, really, and that was her first one. But besides that, she's kind of doing the kind of air punch Ki thing, and I don't know. That said, she's took a year off. She's an American top team, and the American top team, I would argue, has one of the, if not the strongest stable of females. So that's why Marina Moros is super live. That said, maybe it's my bias toward those Colombianas. I got Matzo here, guys.
Okay. Ray Borg at about minus 259, 280. So big disparity there. You got to shop around versus Casey Kenny. And by the way, Ray Borg was the only one who missed weight. Anybody know by how much?
I thought it was 3 pounds or something like that, right? But,
wow.
But he chose not to cut the weight. So he had 2 hours to maybe cut a little bit more. And I know he chose to just not bother with it. So he forfeited percentage of
this. Is at 135, too.
I might surprise you guys here, guys. I feel like part of me is going to hell for going against Ray Borg because we're all rooting for Ray and supporting in one way or another, I'm sure. So definitely want to state that. We've had Ray in studio here. He is such a nice dude. He had a significant other who was pregnant at the time with baby Borg back when he came in. They were very nice. That being said, I had some red flags on this. This feels like a trap fight. Even he's had like about 6 or so bookings. You look at Tapology, it'll show their cancellation bookings, and you literally just see 6 names for Borg. He hasn't fought since his title fight. And what it was a message I was saying with Darren Till Masvidal. I was pointing out this trope, this little my canary in a coal mine. People that come off of title fights generally don't do well, and even if they win, they're usually set at the favorite, and the prices, like if they're like a 3-1 favorite. And even if they do win, it's one of those fights where like they won, but they didn't look no 3-1 favorite. There is an overinflation from the odds makers to us hardcores to the public in general. So you really got to be careful about that with the Ray Borg thing. A lot to be let down. What has he been doing? I didn't see much training on his social media. I was going like Jackson Wink guys. I didn't see him popping up on his face on there, And then he does a couple interviews with Junkie over with Mike Bond up on go to YouTube, by the way, folks. You want to catch any of these interviews. Very useful on Fight Week, the MMA Junkie channel. And he's saying, I don't care, guy. I don't care. I don't care what happens. I don't care if I win. I don't care if I lose. Now he kind of starts spinning it positive, saying like, I'm just going to go in there and fight. Like kind of almost spinning it like, I'm not scared. Like, well, we know you're not scared, Ray. We know you're a top-level fighter. You're a badass, man. You beat Jussier Formiga. Look what he just did. But that mentality worries me, guys. And then you miss weight. And like Ghost said, you got time to make the cut. I have actually taken the dog Kenny here. Not only that, you look at 2 or 3 Ray Borg's losses, not including his Dustin Ortiz split decision. You could have argued that went his way. But after that, he only lost twice in his career. That was to Scoggins, who was also a 5'7" southpaw, and Demetrius Johnson, who did his fair share of fighting from southpaw against Ray Borg. So that could be a potential bad styles match. I'm actually taking Casey Kenny.
Okay, interesting. And I'll tell you what, weight loss usually is a red flag.
Yes.
And the guy's gone through so much personally that my heart breaks for him.
Of course.
And I that's why I think a lot of people will just let up off the gas, because anybody that usually misses weight is just getting buried.
Of course.
He also had to give up 30% of his purse is what I found out, and he missed by 1.75 pounds.
Yeah.
So that was pretty steep there. But the fight goes on. We wish always the best for the Borg family.
Yeah.
Great, great people. They have been in our studio here before. I've had them on the show many times. We haven't had them on lately, but all the best to all the competitors, honestly. We really say that from the bottom of our heart. But the fact is, competition takes place, and it's our job to figure out who makes sense and who doesn't.
That's the tough part, yep.
Kevin Holland versus Gerald Meishert. Holland minus 186, 190, 189, somewhere around there. Meishert comes back at plus 155, plus 169, plus 162.
I know you guys like your dog, so this one's another dog or pass. My heart's going to be with Meishert. I'm a big fan of him. Seems like a real fun guy when I look at interviews of him. And his fight style, too. You know, we had Duke Rufus on, and we asked him, George, you pitched it to him, like, who's the Scottie Pippen? And he's like, I'm not going to fall into that trap. Of course, little did Duke know that I'm a big Scottie Pippen fan, and I would have took it as a compliment. I would say Meishert is the Scottie Pippen. You know, he's always in the training photos with guys, whether it was like Askren, he was part of his camp, you know, being a southpaw to give that look for Lawler. Like, he's always giving guys looks. He's really well-rounded, but he's a real do-or-die fighter. And Kevin Holland, you know, he looks goofy and does things, and he kind of threw away his fight in Dana White's Tuesday Contender
What
Series.
did Dana call him?
Big Mouth.
Big Mouth. That's
yeah,
right.
yeah. And
we were at that one.
He talks. I mean, he tickled the guy's foot in the middle of a fight before. Did a Gucci goo when he was standing in someone's.
I would tap out to that.
Yeah, I know, me too. He's like that guy, but at the same time, I mean, he's a guy who has a TKO victory over Jeff Hands of Steel Neal and guys like that. He is real. You know, the only striker that's been able to beat him, and it was by decision, was Curtis Millender, who's no joke on the feet, obviously, right, guys? Kevin Holland's a real proven dude. I know I just mentioned two welterweights. This isn't middleweight. Kevin Holland's not the biggest middleweight, but I like his style. Travis Lutter don't hand out Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu brown belts to nobody, you know, so I think he's actually more likely to want to find a finish. So I got Holland here, but it's dog or pass. I'm a big Meishert fan for what that's worth.
All right, quick update here. Not 8 minutes left, not 7 minutes left, 1 minute left. This bad boy is over. North Carolina is at 74. Auburn's at 94. Goes.
Whoa.
This is massive.
This is really big. And you know, Auburn, they didn't just cruise to this position. Like, they had a tough time. So I thought for sure North Carolina was going to serve them up. But here they are.
Wow.
And didn't they barely get past New Mexico State the other day?
Yeah.
Wow.
Charles Barkley comes to the Mandalay Bay a lot, to the sports book, and he's an alum. And it's kind of funny because they'll pan to him sometimes, and he's got his hands over his head. He goes crazy.
Oh, man.
Well, it's kind of a choke job for North Carolina, man. They're the #1 ranked team, and they get such an abundance of talent. I think there was a saying that they used to say, North Carolina doesn't recruit their players, they choose their players. Because so many people want to play there. All right.
There's a guy out there with a James Worthy North Carolina jersey.
Really?
That's James Worthy. Cool. I love that. Yeah. Oh, I love that reference.
That's cool. Now
he's got a head like James Worthy.
Less than 30 seconds left. 94-76. I mean, there's no miracle that could take place right now. And then to top it off, Auburn just drilled another 30. Okay. Enrique Barzola versus Kevin Aguilar. Pretty much a pick 'em, guys.
Yep.
Some houses have Aguilar as the favorite. Others have Barzola as the favorite. What do you like here, Dan?
You know, a lot of people for dogs they like. I think the Angel of Death, Kevin Aguilar, is one of them, guys. I believe he was a wider underdog. Money's coming in on him now. I don't know what it was a plus 100 you're getting around now, or around that neighborhood.
Aguilar is anywhere from minus 110 to plus 103.
Wow,
so he's dog and favorite.
Yeah, so he's already coming over to the favorite realm, which is interesting for me because I actually like Barzola, guys. I picked him, and I wasn't sure I was going to play it because it seemed pretty close. But you know what? He is quietly the most real deal Peru guy. There has been some South American guys from other countries where you're like, okay, I don't know if this guy's ready for the UFC level yet.
Tell Valentina Shevchenko you said that.
I said other South American countries, not Peru. Barzola's not one of them. In fact, I would argue if you take the Shevchenkos out of the equation, he's quietly the #1 guy there coming out of Peru. And now he's training at an American top team, so it's making his wrestling game even better. If he runs into somebody that can defend the takedown and counter, he's going to be in trouble. But I don't think so here. Kevin Aguilar, he shows pretty good awareness, but he hasn't gone against good wrestlers, and he's shown that even against not good wrestlers, that can stifle his game against the cage. And he hangs out against the cage too when he's looking to strike, kind of like a T-Wood. He likes to kind of hang out by that cage. Could be bad against a guy who loves doing his work. Again, very similar to Usman. Why I bring up Woodley. It could be very much like that if Barzola wins. I actually took Barzola at plus money by decision prop. Was the only prop I played. If your places take it, but if money keeps coming in on Aguilar, I may just get Barzola straight up for plus money. Again, nothing I'm running home with. It's not a strong fight. It's a close fight for a reason, guys. But that's my feel.
Okay. Desmond Green against Ross Pearson. Green a big favorite.
Yeah.
Minus 427, minus 455, minus 465. Ross Pearson plus 350, plus 345, plus 365. I mean, yeah, I get it. Green favorite, but that big? What? Has he turned some corner, or is Pearson posting a lot of stuff on Instagram that leads you to believe that maybe his mental state isn't there? What's going on there?
I think I gotta imagine it's just the Ross Pearson fade, guys, because he's like what? He's like 4 and he's 1-4 or 1-5 in his last few fights. So I gotta imagine it's that. And I've been a big fan of Ross Pearson, but he's kind of he's kind of doing the same thing, and I think guys are kind of onto it. As good as he is, guys are kind of onto his game is the best way to put it. So people are putting their money on Des Green. I know Odessa hates the word value, guys, but biggest value on the card is Ross Pearson. I don't blame anybody throwing money on him straight up or by decision, because if he's going to win, it's going to be by decision. It's going to be a close decision, guys. That said, I got Des Green here. I think his southpaw stance, his counter fighting ability, and his ability to wrestle, he's going to need to wrestle here. That's going to be the big question, guys, to secure the win. The thing about Green is whether fights he's winning or fights that he's not supposed to win, like over in Russia facing Tysonov, where he could have arguably taken that scorecard, guys, in his last fight.
Oh, that's right.
Whether he's winning or losing, he's letting the fight be too close. So it's hard to put money confidently on Green, especially when you see a blown up inflated favorite like that. So dog or pass, but I'll take Green.
I was gonna say one last thing here, but I forgot what it was, so we'll skip it for now. It wasn't that important.
Shut up.
Yes, you and Gabby shut up.
All right, we'll shut up.
And in the meantime, let me think. No, I'm just kidding. We have a call. Who is it?
It's Showtime, and he's on his way to Philly for the fights.
What's up, Showtime? It's your time.
Hey, what's going on, fellas?
Showtime.
Not much. How about you?
Oh, man, nothing much. I called in right at the right time. You guys talking about these plays. You know that's what I wanted to get some good plays.
Sir.
Yeah, you called the right spot.
Yeah, man, I'm going to meet some of the junkies out there, man. Lerone, Jersey Mike, I think Erica. I don't know who else. I know Sam Alabama is going to be in the area, but I don't think he's coming to the fights, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to have a good time.
Oh, man. Have one for me.
Yeah, I'm going to have 2 or 3, man. I had to apologize to RJ because I didn't get a chance to go to the Nashville card this weekend because my daughter had something going on. I had to go to her college. But you know I would have been in Nashville.
Yeah, no doubt, man. You're definitely the junkie that travels the most, for sure, when you can, right?
Oh yeah, I try to get around and do it, man. I actually like this card, man. I'm actually excited, man. I wonder with Gaethje if we're going to see a different Gaethje, if he's going to wrestle a little bit. I think he needs to wrestle a little bit, man. I don't think anybody in that division want to stand up and basically kickbox. I think that'll be against Barbosa. I think he'll be like a pinata if he just stand there and try to kickbox with him, regardless of how tough he is.
You know, we do 1st to 15 in college basketball.
Yep.
If it were 1st to 5 leg kicks, who would you take?
Gaethje.
You think so?
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to try and wrestle.
Barbosa doesn't throw as many as he used to.
Yep.
But this doesn't seem like the type of fight. He seems like the guy that just loves brawling. He loves to challenge himself, too. Gaethje. And I think he's going to stand right in front of him.
Hey, I will say this, though. I think it'll be close. I'm trumpeting that same drum, too, as well, guys. But I think it'd be closer if Barbosa goes to the inside of that leg like he did against Pettis. And that'd be good against Gage. You debase a powerful striker like that. I mean, less counters that way too. But just my 2 cents on the leg kicks. Showtime. Who you like this weekend? Are you looking at anybody?
Head kick. Yeah, I like Branch. I think I'm looking at this fight and wonder why Branch is a dog, man. I like Branch in that fight. I like Barboza. I like Barzola. Those three that I feel real confident in.
I know some people on Branch.
Thanks for the call, buddy.
I know some people on Branch. You're not alone there. I'm opposite, and maybe I'll explain that one later. But, yeah, that's a dog that's popular. Money's come in on him for what that's worth.
Yeah. Look, Branch, when he's on, does look pretty good because he's very explosive. He's got really great jiu-jitsu.
Yep.
But the times that I've seen him lose, not that other fighters made him look average, because he's just at a level when you lose, it's not going to look good because you're fighting great fighters, honestly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't take too much away from that. But one thing I heard, he did an interview with us, and he was really intense, and then he did another one. I remember I was on my way to Elvis Johnson, and I think what it was Misha and Ryan may have been hosting a pre-fight show. So it would have been the pre-fight show prior to Australia, because that's the one I didn't purchase. And on that one, Branch was like F-bombing, man. He was pissed. He said he had to clean house when it came to coaches and maybe some training partners. And he said, like, it's going to be different now. You know what I mean? It looked like he took a little bit more control of his career and his camp. So if Branch is going to appear to me, I would think that he's going to be the best Branch we've seen in a while and the most focused Branch we've seen in a while, and one that can't make any excuses should things not go his way. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's going to have to be that way for him. The common thread I noticed in his losses, I think that when you get strong grapplers, whether it's people that can match him in that, whether it's wrestling or jiu-jitsu, you go back early, Gerald Harris, right, to even later in his career, like an Anthony Johnson couldn't get down. Or you look at, got Luke Rockhold, really good grappling once he got on top. And I think that's kind of the common thread, because even though his brother's a pro boxer and he's really got that underrated Brooklyn-style boxing, I think the security is that he wants to be able to – he likes to know that he can take the fight to the ground if he needs to. And I don't know if he's going to do that against Hermanson. Hermanson's got real underrated wrestling. And I was a big fan of Jack Hermanson, admittedly, as well. Yeah, even Thiago Santos told Fernando Pratis before he was going to fight him, goes, oh, that guy's big. And kind of joking and being that, but even was saying, like, that's a big guy. And that's Thiago Santos who's challenging for the light heavyweight title.
He's actually made it to our rankings, HM, maybe 15. Because he's put together quietly an impressive resume. He's no joke, the Joker. All right, we got to take a break here. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation Channel 93. We're going to continue here. Led and Dan break down the UFC Philly card. And, of course, as we get a little bit closer to the main card, I just want to make sure we get them all in. Goz and I will start chiming in on some of our picks. Plus, one championship. Eddie Alvarez, Demetrius Johnson, they're in action. They got the Fabulous One app. Bellator, there's a fight card happening right now. So we'll see if we can touch base a little bit on those as well. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Your life will be a lot better. Here are Gorgeous and Goes.
You ever heard this song before, Gabby?
I have not, no.
Let it play for just a bit. I think you'll like it. So you know Morrissey's from the Smiths. You ever heard of the Smiths?
Yes, I've heard of the Smiths.
Oh, thank God. Okay.
I was going to say.
If she had said no, I would have said this is the last show that Gabby will ever produce.
I've only heard of them because Luke likes the Smiths, so I have to play it for him sometime.
Luke likes the Smiths?
Wow, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah. Smiths guy.
He's got a weird range of musical preferences.
You sure he just doesn't have friends called the Smiths and he talks about them instead? Are you sure he likes the Smiths,
if they
the
sing
band?
certain songs. Yeah.
International Playboy. All right, here we go. Here's one of these reads that makes no sense, but I'm going to do it. It's my job. Every minute of Westwood One's coverage of the NCAA tournament is on SiriusXM. The final spot in the Elite Eight is up for grabs tonight at 9:59 Eastern. They couldn't start the game at 10 on the dot. 9:59 is when the ref's going to go, "You all ready?" and throw the ball up in the air. Whatever. What's going to happen is the second-seeded Kentucky Wildcats will play the third-seeded Houston Cougars in the Midwest region on Sirius 136 XM 202 and streaming on your phone and at home on SiriusXM connected devices and speakers. You like Cougars, Dan? You rooting for these?
Yeah.
Yeah? All right.
It knows my taste.
All right.
In teams.
Can I play devil's advocate?
Yeah, sure.
Aren't we off the air at 59?
Yeah, but that's so that the 7 p.m. show can start, which I think is a replay of Busted Open, pro wrestling fans.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah.
It's just the weirdest start time. Why would it start at 9:59?
I don't like when people say, "Hey, I'll be there in 4 minutes or 3 minutes."
Me neither.
You're just
5, 10.
20,
yeah.
Don't look at my
start time.
Don't look at my iPhone alarm list. It's full of like 9:17, 9:27.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have one straight time on there.
Mm-mm.
All right, let's continue here with this breakdown. Dan's on a roll here. And, by the way, North Carolina did lose. If I didn't say that, I'm saying it now. That's a big, big, big upset. Now, who do we have? The next fight card. Where the fuck are my windows here?
We're still on the prelims, eh?
I lost my spot.
Almost to the main card. We're almost there.
Up next is the following.
Jessica Aguilar against Marina Rodriguez?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, goes. The lines on that game, or that fight, is Jessica Aguilar. Oh, wait. Marina Rodriguez at -321, -357, -325. Jessica Aguilar, also known as JAG, +250, +279.
This is like that Des Green and Pearson line, guys. We got a favorite, justified favorite, but I don't know about that big of a number. I mean, she has a TKO over a girl who went no mas on the Brazil Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series. I don't think she had that great of a record. But then she comes in and gets a draw against Randa Marcos, which is really impressive because you could argue that she won the last 2 rounds of that fight for one, although I do agree with the draw. But Randa Marcos, much better than people give credit for, as she proved this last weekend, right, guys? Still, I don't know if that's enough to justify Marina Rodriguez, who's just a Muay Thai fighter. She doesn't even train out of a big gym or anything like that. No jiu-jitsu credentials. I'm not sure. If Jessica Aguilar can get her takedown game going, she can make this really close, guys. A lot closer than the line indicates. But Jessica Aguilar, like Ross Pearson, toward the end of her stretch, she's been around for a minute, kind of a bit of a down streak right now. So I think that's why the line is so wide. I'll take the newcomer, the favorite, but I don't blame anybody taking a shot on the dog.
Sadiq Youssef, -140. About 140 consistent. Shaman Marias, about +110, +125.
This one's going to be crazy, guys. It's going to be a slugfest both ways. Neither guy likes the takedown. I'll tell you what I did take. I picked Sadiq Youssef, who's a slight favorite. I don't blame anybody taking a shot on Shaman, but I actually played the under, guys, because you're actually getting, depending on what house you look at, you're getting plus money for an under 2.5. So in other words, someone's got to get finished before.
I like Youssef a lot, but you think Marias has ways to win, huh?
Oh, totally. Yeah, totally.
He drives me crazy. I can never. Every time I pick him, he doesn't look that good.
Yes,
and when
I know.
I don't, he looks great.
And you could argue Shaman Marias lost his last 2 fights as well.
Mm-hmm.
There's an argument for that with the way those were scored, guys. So it's tough. But Shaman Marias got a really good counter right hand, and Youssef's one loss, George, comes from getting slammed to his face from an arm drag. But before that, he actually got dropped by a counter right hand. So there's definite pass, but I'm going to go with a more powerful athlete who I believe has a higher ceiling, and that's Super Sadiq, this Nigerian world order going on. I'll side with that.
Nchukwu, Kennedy Nchukwu versus Paul Craig. Nchukwu about -160. Paul Craig about +130.
Stay away from me. I'm taking the newcomer Kennedy Nchukwu, but I'm going to go stay away from Paul Craig. I like Paul Craig. He's an awesome, funny dude. He's the Scotsman, man, but it's going to be a tough matchup, I think, for him, unless he can get consistent takedowns.
Okay. Next one, and I'm hustling here because I know we're running out of time. Michelle Watterson and Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Kowalkiewicz, slight favorite at about -150. Actually, we broke this one down on the video. Let me point to that. YouTube.com/MMA-Junkie video. We all took our turns talking about that fight. Let's go to Michael Johnson and Josh Emmett. Pretty much a flip 'em here.
Yep.
Who do you like?
I'll take Michael Johnson real close. Just Josh Emmett, too many questions to happen. But it'll be four or five Team Alpha Male fighters that Michael Johnson's faced in his career, you know. So I think he wins this one, though. He's lost most of them to Team Alpha Male. I think he wins this one.
Did it scare you a little bit that he was one of the last dudes to weigh in? Do you ever pay attention to that?
A little bit, but didn't he say in the interview with you guys this week that he was talking about the prior weigh-in, and the only reason why he missed the last one was because of the hour window? He says he needs that window a lot of the times because a lot of these guys have trouble getting going in the morning, I think. He might be one of those guys, so it could be, though. Could be.
I'm one of those guys, for sure, and it definitely drags into the later part of the day as well.
Yeah, it does.
You kind of have already talked about Hermanson and Branch.
A little bit, yes.
Yeah, so we know that you feel like Hermanson's a live dog.
He's a dog now.
Or sorry, he's a favorite.
Okay.
Yeah.
He could be a dog by the time closing lines go. We'll see.
And then Barboza, Gagey, anything changed there? Or
nothing changed. And if anything,
we did that one as well on YouTube, youtube.com/MMA-Junkie video. And check out Dan's podcast, the Protect Your Net podcast, on iTunes. Leave him a review as well. Leave us a review as well. Those help, man. They really help everybody around, and they're not that hard to do. In fact, I owe a few people some of those. I'll get to it soon.
Good point.
Oh, thank you.
Excellent.
Okay.
Excellent.
Oh, the Cowboys close to taking a fall. There you go. That's what goes to say. I do want to thank all of our guests for the week, including DeFear Harris, also known as Dada 5000, Duke Rufus, Juan Archuleta, Jim West, Michael Johnson, Randa Marcos, Tyron Woodley, and even Enzo Perez, who popped in from Extreme Couture. We chatted with him for a while. That was a lot of fun. Next week, we will definitely be back recapping the UFC Philadelphia card. On Monday's show, there'll be lots to cover because there's a Bellator card, there's a One Championship card, and I don't think any of us are in any doubt that Alvarez and Demetrius Johnson will come out with W's there, right, guys?
I mean, yeah.
You see any
we're
stiff tests there?
To say that, but a lot of times, I mean, at least in Bellator, when guys go over, sometimes they have that performance that just, I don't know if it's a new surroundings or what, but sometimes it happens. But these are two great fighters, former champions.
Angela Lee's also fighting. So is Edward Folayang versus Shinya Aoki for the lightweight title. And it's Jing Nanjiang versus Angela Lee for the strawweight title. Bibiano Fernandez, another one of their big names. He's on the card. This is the one you may want to just get up early and check it out. You can watch some fights on their Facebook and Twitter page beginning at 2:30 a.m. Eastern start time on Sunday morning. But if you're in the Pacific time zone, it's 11:30 p.m. Saturday night, like right after UFC. Then on Bleacher Report Live, you can check out the main card starting at 5:30 a.m. Eastern, again on Sunday morning. But yeah, actually, it'll be Sunday morning because it'll still be 2:30 a.m. Pacific for all of us. Bellator is taking place right now in Temecula. Sure wish I was there. But this is one of the holdbacks from the start time as we've committed to a primetime show. All right, we got to get on out of here. Enjoy your weekends. Hope your brackets do well. And don't forget, Goz and I will be doing a alternative broadcast tomorrow on Sportscaster, www.sportscaster.com/MMA-Junkie. Check it out. You'll be watching the fights along with us. It'll be sort of like a fight companion. We'll be having drinks, we'll be eating food, we'll be betting parlays, we'll be having a great time here at the Mandalay Bay Sportsbook as we watch the UFC Philly card with you. So funny, Goz.
You almost said gay all the time, huh?
Nothing wrong with that.
I know, but you almost said it, right?
You almost said it earlier with Gaethje as well.
Yeah, I could, it's just it's something. We're young, right?
We're out of here. For Gabby and Dan and Goz, I'm George. Go out there and be a champion.